Hey, sports fans, this is John Kuntz, Athletic Director at Sussex County Community College, and you're listening to the Skylander Sports Scene right here on 97.5 WRSK, your cruising oldie station. My guest today is Hannah-Ray Delbury, a member of our women's basketball team. So welcome to the show, Hannah.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, great. Let's start here. This is your first year at Sussex County Community College. You were a freshman in the fall and freshman now, obviously. But your first semester was this past fall semester, and you were a member of our women's basketball team. Let's go back to your earlier days. When were you first introduced to the game of basketball? When did you start playing in organized situations?
Well, basketball and sports and just in general have always been kind of a big part of my family. So I would always play basketball and like soccer with my older brothers and my younger sister. I didn't start playing basketball like on a team probably until I was in like first or second grade. And then that's when I really started enjoying it, when I scored my first basket, when I just had fun playing, and it became something that I've always just wanted to do, always just wanted to play. Even though I'm not like the best player in the world, it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy doing it.
Well, you've done a great job for the Lady Skylanders this year. I've watched a lot of your games and doing the work inside, underneath the basket, grabbing rebounds, scoring points for us. You've done a great job as a freshman. What was your experience like in high school?
It's very similar to kind of here. Like I was a starter in high school, a 3-year starter, and I was a center, and I loved being the big person in the middle who could block shots and grab the rebounds, because I'm not a great outside shooter. So when I could pass it out to one of my teammates to get an outside shot, it was such a great feeling that I just loved being able to give someone like a second chance, or just give them another shot that they need to get their thousands points, like Brielle or something.
Yeah, speaking of that, most recently one of our players, Brielle Hilbert, a graduate of Wallkill Valley High School, broke 1,000 points for her career here at the college, which when you think about it is a pretty remarkable feat. When you see it done in high school, it's usually done over a 3 or 4 year period. And Brielle accomplished it within 2 years, basically like a year and a half of scoring 1,000 points. What was that like for you to be a part of that, seeing her score 1,000 and helping her along the way this year to get to 1,000?
Well, honestly, a lot of the credit goes to her herself, because she put in the effort and the work and the dedication to continuously practice just taking shots, making sure she makes them, works on her drills and everything else like that. I didn't really do much in the way of, I gave her a couple of balls just so she could get a couple of baskets, but honestly, it's mostly her, and just being there and being her friend and being a part of that, it's a great feeling, because I'm so happy for her. I'm so proud of her. I'm happy that I was here this year to be able to first make friends with her, be a teammate with her, and watch, help, and see her just become that great basketball player and get that 1,000 points.
Yeah, that's certainly an exciting moment, when it happens, knowing, watching the countdown as she got closer and closer to it, and entered the game where she broke 1,000. I think she was 13 points shy of it. And, when she got to 998, and the anticipation of her possibly scoring. And she's very humble. I mean, she credited so many people in helping her along the way, including her teammates like yourself, and helping her get open and getting the ball to her, and so on and so forth. So it was kind of neat to be a part of history.
Yeah.
With her being the first female athlete here at Sussex County Community College, basketball player to score 1,000 points. You spoke a little bit about your time in high school and playing, and you said there weren't a lot of differences there. Are there some differences between what you've observed, what you've experienced between your high school playing days and now what you've gone through in, a little over a half a season as a 2-year college player?
Oh, yeah, definitely. In high school, I went to a small private high school, so the girls on my team I've known for such a long time. So we had some really good chemistry, which was harder to create here, but it wasn't hard at the exact same time. Like, I didn't have the background I had with the girls here, but they were all just so nice and willing to just become a family, and they wanted to be friends before they were wanting to win championships. They cared about the people more than they did about the game. And that was something I found very similar to what I had at Veritas, was we cared about the people. We care about how we get there, not necessarily like what we get, because they care about the people, they care about the sportsmanship, they care about just your attitude. And that's very similar to here. Just the level of playing, though, that is very different. Because I went from playing girls who weren't very tall, weren't very big, to here there are girls who are a lot taller, a lot bigger, and it's just a different competition. It's cool because it makes me a better player, but it was definitely a learning curve where I was like, oh, I can't do the same thing I did at Veritas that I did here. Mm-hmm. But it was just interesting to see how much that can grow you and like push you to do better.
Yeah, it is. Every level you move up, it becomes a little bit more competitive. The players are a little bit more skilled, a little bit more quicker, a little taller, and practically every game that you play in now, there is at least one or maybe two other girls, your size or bigger, that you have to compete against, to get rebounds and get shots inside and so on and so forth. And plus the fact where you have to come together fairly quickly as a team. It's a 2-year college, so you don't have the 4 years in high school to become friends and develop that cohesiveness. And there's a lot of changeover at the 2-year college level from 1 year to the next. What's the one part of your game that you think you need to work on the most?
Oh, that's actually a really hard question, because I think, definitely dribbling, probably, because I'm an awful dribbler. It's really hard for me to dribble with my left hand. It's really hard for me to do like any type of move. Any single time I get a rebound, I look right out to either like Brielle, Keeley, Brenly, just so I don't have to dribble it. Because every single time I do dribble it, I feel awkward and uncomfortable. I don't like it. There's definitely that. But then there's also just kind of being able to take a shot. I don't really like shooting that much. I like passing it back out because I think other people will have a better chance of making it than I do. So I don't really shoot too often. But with that being said, probably yeah, just shooting and dribbling.
Yeah, ball handling, it's a big part of it, and especially for centers who play underneath the basket. There's always a lot of traffic down there, and there's people around, and if you go to put the ball on the floor, there's 3 sets of hands slapping at it and trying to knock it away, and so on and so forth. But you've done a real good job, I think, in rebounding the ball, getting the ball out, passing, as well as scoring. You have scored your share of points.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the league and the teams that you face. You've mentioned a little difference in the competition, the size of the players, the skill of the players, and you ladies have to this point in the season already set a record for wins in a season, which is great. And you've traveled all over. You've traveled around the state of New Jersey. You've traveled in Pennsylvania, and you face a lot of good competition. Schools like Brookdale Community College down in Monmouth County, Gloucester County College. You traveled out to Harrisburg, where you got a 1-point win out there. You play Passaic. You got a great win against them during the course of the year. Talk a little bit about the competition that you faced and the difference in the travel that you have to do at the 2-year college level.
Oh yeah, that was really different from what I've had to experience previously, because in high school our furthest trip was 45 minutes away, maybe hour and a half, depending. Of course, then we would always have like a tournament in like Maryland or something, but we would stay like 3 nights. So being in college and traveling 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours for a game was it's totally different. It's challenging because you have to keep up with your schoolwork as well. But the car rides are a lot of fun because you kind of have to talk to your team, and doing that gives you just an awesome opportunity to like get to know them on a better and different level. And so that provides like awesome opportunities because we're all so busy all the time because we have basketball, some of us have work, and then we have other friends, family, school, that we can't always see each other all the time. So that just provides a little, this is cool. Like, hey guys, how are you doing today? And then just being able to play a game after you traveled 3 hours is a little challenging as well, because you're sitting down, you're like, oh, I just want to take a nap, I just want to sleep now. And then you have to get up and run for at least 40 minutes just to play basketball. So that was a little strange, but it's fun.
Yeah, I think, I've said this to teams in the past. Your experience playing here at Sussex County Community College, what you'll remember going forward probably will not be the scores of all the games, but the relationships that you develop, or something that happened on a van ride when you went to a game, or when you had an overnight stay, when you stayed in a hotel, and what that experience was like with your teammates and getting to know your teammates. I think those are the experiences and the things that you will remember most as the years pass
Definitely.
in your lifetime. You are listening to WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldie station, and the Skylander sports scene. My guest today is Hannah-Ray Delbury, a graduate of Veritas Christian Academy, and is a first-year player on our women's basketball team here at Sussex County Community College. Let's talk a little bit about coaching and the people who have coached you in your lifetime leading up to this point, including our coaching staff here at the college, to help you learn about the game of basketball. Who guided you in your early years and in high school to work on you becoming a better basketball player?
Well, probably in high school had the biggest effect on me personally, which was actually my head coach here, Kate Gaffney's father, Greg Gaffney, and he definitely, like, he pushed me to be a better player every single step of the way. Like, every single practice, I would talk to him and I would be like, what do I need to improve on? And he would tell me, this is what you need to work on. And he would tell me straight up, you're going to get discouraged because it's going to take a while. This is going to be a lot of hard work, but if you're willing to do it, you can do it. And so I was like, okay, let's see if I can do this. Like, let's see if he's actually telling me the truth over here. So especially there was this one time I just wanted to get a certain post move down where it was just like a simple thing as like a drop step, but it included a dribble. And every single time I tried to dribble it, the ball fell on my hands because I'm not a good dribbler. So I would try to put the ball down and bring it back up to take the shot, and it would always somehow slip out of my hands. And I just remember working on that for so long, like after school, try to get there before practice just to work on that one move. And it was so frustrating. It was awful. It was annoying. I didn't like it. But after a while, the shot started looking good and it started looking great. And then it actually went in. And so I was like, okay, like this is cool. Like I really like this. And then just like things like that through 4 years really pushes you to do a lot better, because he was my basketball coach, he was my choir teacher, he was my contemporary ensemble teacher as well. So those aspects of my life were really important to me, and music and basketball, like I love them. And so for him to be kind of there with both of those things that I love, it was awesome to get that mentorship that you wouldn't find in many places. So he definitely pushed me to be the best person I could be, the best player I could be, and just kind of like the best friend I could be too. Because afterwards, my senior year, there's another girl who I also played with, and she was a center like me. And he was like, I want you to teach her how to play. He's like, I want you to help her along because she's going to get discouraged every once in a while. So I want you to be the one to be there for her because you know what it's like to be her. And that was really cool because he actually trusted me with that of, oh, shoot, like he wants me to help someone else. Okay.
That's
So
sweet.
it
Yeah, the pupil becomes a student, or the pupil becomes a teacher now.
yeah, it was strange. I was like, okay. But at the end of the season, I just remember her coming up to me and saying, "Thank you for everything that you did." Like, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool." Like, that's how a coach must feel, like when a player actually gets something and starts learning. And it was an amazing experience. I was like, "Wow!" Like, it was really cool.
Yeah. So you went from Coach Gaffney to Coach Gaffney
Yep.
from high school to college.
Yeah.
You had Greg Gaffney, the father, and then you come to Sussex County Community College, and you now have the daughter, Coach Gaffney, and her assistant, Anthony Baylog. So what's that been like during this time period here?
Well, first, it was really strange because I couldn't call her Coach Gaffney because that was her father. And it was weird to call her Coach because that was still her father. So I was like, Katie, Coach, Gaffney. Like, I wasn't really sure how to address her. So I would just be like, hey, every single time. But I really enjoyed having her as a coach. Like, she knows so much about basketball. She's nice, too, which is very hard to find as well because you don't get that, oh, you know basketball, you're a good coach, you're stern, yet you're kind. That's very hard to find.
Right.
And then the assistant coach, Anthony, he is amazing as well because he's like the same way where he's like, I'll tell you what you don't want to hear, but I'm still going to like help you along the process and just make you a better player too. And he's awesome and super sweet about it as well because he's like, no, all you have to do is this. Just calm down. You got this. Square up, box out, you're good. That's all you have to do. And you're like, oh, okay. He makes it sound so easy and simple.
Yeah. But it's not always that
Exactly.
easy. And when you get in the game, it becomes a little bit different at times. But it sounds like you've had good mentors, with basketball coaching in Greg Gaffney and his daughter Kate here at the college. Let's talk a little bit about balancing the academic part of it here at Sussex County Community College and the athletic part of it. You came in here in September as a first-time freshman in college, registered for a full load of classes, came out for the basketball team, joined the basketball team, have been playing on the basketball team, since September when you guys were getting ready to gear up, and having to go to class and do your work. Has there been any kind of adjustment there for you versus high school where you, I know that you're a very good student, but has it been different here at the college level?
Yes, because in high school, you're kind of given set times of when you have to do things, when practice is, when you should do your homework, when you need to get that done so you can get ready for the next day. Here in college, you set up your own schedule. You have your own time you have more free time. So you have to make sure that you actually get done what you need to get done, which isn't always easy because time management is everything. That is so key. And just being able to go to class, get your homework done, and go to basketball, like for games that are hours away and for practices that sometimes change depending on the schedules of the players and the coaches because they're trying to make sure that everyone can come to practice, which doesn't always happen, but we do the best we can. And so just being able to kind of pile that all in and make sure that you're managing your time well, that's really the key to do everything. Last semester, I thought I did a semi-decent job with that, so I then added an extra class, so I'm taking 6 classes as well as being a student ambassador, and I'm in charge of the food pantry as well. So it's going to be a little hectic this semester, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's a big load to carry and be an athlete as well. I guess the good part of that is, the basketball season. We got another 6 weeks or so, or 5 weeks to go in the season. So for the good part of this semester, your season will be over, and you can focus on your academics and your student ambassadorship and the food pantry. What is a student ambassador? Can you explain that to our audience here? You were selected as a student ambassador. What do you have to do? What do you get for that?
So for being a student ambassador, I had to go through of course, an application process because if I work, there's two options, either working 40 hours or 80 hours. And I'm personally doing the 40 hours because 80 hours that's a little bit too much.
And that's working at the college.
Yes, working at the
helping out
college.
At different events.
Yes.
And things like that.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I'm working 40 hours and that pays for 6 of my credits. And so that helps me personally out a lot because I come from a very low income family. So paying for 2 classes, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So if I work the 40 hours, I get paid for 2 classes. And then all I have to do is just kind of help out around here, run events, do certain things. Like for me personally, I'm in charge of the food pantry, so that's going to be where a lot of my hours come from,
Right.
which has been really cool because I already spent a couple hours in there just organizing it, trying to get everything ready for the people who don't have a lot of food to eat, because I know no one wants anyone here to not come here because they can't afford food or they can't afford clothing or something simple like that, where that's kind of the mindset behind it is nothing should hold you back from being educated. If you want to be, you should be. So that was an awesome opportunity just to be, hey, I'm in charge of this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had a few other student athletes get selected to be student ambassadors, and I think the student ambassador program here, run out of our campus life office and directed by Amy Rood, is a great program. You have to give back to the college, your 40 hours of helping at events and running the food pantry or doing some other type of special project during the course of the semester. And for that, you get, 6 credits of tuition paid for. So it's certainly a good deal, and I think a great program that some of our student athletes have been involved in the past. You're listening to WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldie station in the Skylander sports scene. My guest today is Hannah-Ray Delbury, a graduate of Veritas Christian Academy and a member of our women's basketball team here at Sussex County Community College. You had mentioned earlier in the conversation about your brothers and growing up and playing sports, with the family and so on and so forth. And one of your brothers, Aaron, I believe, played here on our men's basketball team a couple of years ago. What was that like growing up? Did you get to win at all in your younger days?
Well, a lot of times, because I have 2 older brothers and then a younger sister, so a lot of times we would pair off one brother, one sister, and sometimes I did win. Sometimes it worked out in my favor. But it was really cool because it just it made you feel a little bit of competition, and you're ooh, it's my brother, I want to beat him. A lot of times, though, they would just kind of pin me down. You'd be haha, you're not getting the ball, and just make a basket instead.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun because then it just to me, it honestly taught me the importance of family and just even though you're still there to win, you can still have fun and you can still be an encouragement and you can still love, because sometimes people forget about basketball being a fun sport,
Right.
because they just want to win.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've said in the past to teams that I've coached and that it's about enjoyment, and yeah, it's competition and everybody wants to win and win championships and so on and so forth. But if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why are you doing it?
There's no point.
Yeah. So you got to put that fun aspect into it. And growing up, around siblings, to play touch football or basketball, shoot baskets or something is certainly a great experience. Let's talk a little bit about your teammates. We've touched on Brielle Hilbert, our top scorer and our 1,000-point scorer, but there are some other ladies on the team as well. One that came over, I think, from Veritas as well in Brenly. Let's talk a little bit about her. Obviously, you knew her in high school, and you must have been friends back then. And to have somebody come here the same year you are and be a part of the program was probably helpful in like a buddy system.
It definitely was, because at the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to play basketball. Like, I knew I wanted to play, but I didn't know if I could. So I was kind of like debating, freaking out, like, I don't know whether I should or should not. And Brenly was kind of like one of the ones who came up to me. She's like, I'm going to play. If you want to play, like, that'd be cool. Hannah, I would love to have you. I've been friends with her for years. I absolutely adore and love Brenly. So she was definitely a major encouragement, because honestly, I don't know if I would have played if she was not on the team, because I was petrified out of my brains. I didn't know anyone. I don't know anything. I came from a small private high school. I didn't know what college was about at all. So for her just being there and being like, hey, like, why don't you come play? Because we always talked about playing college, but once it came down to it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. But she definitely was a major encouragement in that.
Yeah. Then you have a couple others like Keely McGregor on the team, Emily, Brittany. Talk a little bit about them and your experience in getting to know them and playing basketball.
Well, I actually knew Emily before this as well. We've had like the same family of friends. And so one time I went to a New Year's Eve party and she was there and we met, and I didn't really know her. I didn't really know her before this, but I knew of her. So it was kind of cool actually, like, making really strong connection and friendship with her, where we will talk. We'll be like, hey, how's it going? Give her a hug when I see her. And we actually created a really good friendship out of it. Keely, I adore Keely. I look up to her actually a lot because she is such a great player. She's such a fighter. And probably one of the biggest things that she was an inspiration personally to me was when she actually broke her wrist. Yeah. And she came to every game, showed up to every single practice, and she was such a major encouragement, because she was like, guys, even though I can't play, that doesn't mean you can't win. You guys can do this. Have fun. Go out there. She was the one on the sidelines cheering. She would stand up and yell if the ref in her mind made a bad call. She was just kind of like her number one fan, and it was great just to get her back, because she's such a great player, and such an encouragement, and I adore her as well.
Yeah.
But then Brittany's become one of my best friends, because we have a class together as well from the beginning of the semester, or the first semester. That's where I met her. And then we also have a class again this semester, and just being on the basketball team with her and being in class with her, it was really cool because we hang out all the time. We're always together, like, know a lot about her. Yeah, I just love this team.
and that's the thing, you know, the what I was saying before, you know, it's the things that you'll remember is the relationships you develop with your teammates. You know, you become friends, and things that you'll be able to talk about years from now about what happened at Sussex County Community College on the basketball court or in a classroom or at an event. So that's certainly great to see. What about the future? What do you think the future holds for Hannah, as far as next year and beyond?
Well, next year I'm definitely coming back here. I'm not entirely sure where I want to go for a 4-year college, but I definitely do. If I do transfer, it depends on the college I go to, if I will continue playing basketball, because I don't think I could play D1 or D2, but if I went to a D3 school, I might be able to. I personally want to be a teacher. I want to work with children, and I would love to, like, absolutely love to run an orphanage. That's kind of like my big dream. And so just being able to teach, as well as like teach them like English and science and math, as well as basketball. And I also am taking sign language, and I'm learning a lot about that, and I want to major in it as well. So I'm going to go through a lot of school, but I want to try to become an interpreter or something. So if I could also teach deaf children as well, like, I have no clue what the future holds, but I have a lot of ideas, and we'll see where it goes.
That's great. I mean, it sounds like you have somewhat of a plan, and you have some varied interests there, and Sussex County Community College being a part of that for you getting you started on your college education and your college career. Well, Hannah, we run out of time. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Me too.
We've been talking to Hannah-Ray Delbury, graduate of Veritas Christian Academy, and a member of our women's basketball player and student athlete here at Sussex County Community College, right here on WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldies station. We'll catch you next time on the Skylander Sports Scene.